Shalom Yesharallah. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rucha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to those La'akim that's preached the word in all truth and sincerity, along to Israelite foreigner brothers that are like the heathens. But the line of foul side goes back to the nation of Israel, which nation of Israel are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans through the prophecies and curses of Deuteronomy 28 chapter and throughout the Bible. So this is Brother Yakal. I'm plugging in the video. And today's video, I'll be going to the book of Psalms, the 128th chapter. And, Lord willing, you brothers and you sisters out there be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai. As your brother see, it's a very short chapter, only 6 verses. And I just want to go into it, And as the title of the psalm say, blessedness of the fear of the Lord Yahweh. As it says, a song of degrees. It doesn't say who wrote the psalms, but when you define that word degrees, it's from the Hebrew word ma'alah, which means what comes up, thoughts, stare, ascent, go up. It says a journey to a higher place, because the Psalms often uplifts you, because a lot of Psalms were attributed to King David, and Asaph, because, the Psalms were often, the Psalms often comfort us, when we go into certain books of the Psalms, and it comforts us because it often speaks about the Lord delivering us from our enemies, and the Lord having peace upon us, the nation of Israel, beginning with the elect, so that's just a psalm of, that's just, it elevates you, it comforts you, you see, and when you read Psalms 128 verse 1, it says a song of degrees. Blessed is everyone that feareth the Lord Yahweh, that walketh in his ways. That's right. And this only applies to the elect of Israel, because they will be the only ones blessed in the latter days, which we live in the latter days now, because they will be the ones that fear Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai and walk in his ways. They will keep the laws, statutes, commandments, the high holy days, keep the Sabbath. They won't be eating, pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. They won't commit adultery. They'll be faithful to Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai to the best of their ability, which the elect, they won't be perfect. But wherever they fall short of, that's where Yahweh Shai covers the tab, you see. Because when you define the word fear, it's from the Hebrew word Yara'ah, which means fearing, reverent, afraid. Now, when you go to the root word, it's the same word, Yara'ah. And we go to right here, it says respect, honor, reverence, and that's what the elect will do to Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, in regards of, keeping the laws, statutes, commandments, and teaching the gospel to the best of their ability, which is them being an obedient servant to the Lord, which is them walking in the Lord's ways. It says, verse 2, it says, for thou shalt eat the labor of thy hands. Yeah, and Lord willing, we are part of the elect. We're going to eat the labor of our hands. We're going to eat the fruit of our labors. Because being in his faith, it comes with a delayed gratification. We're going to get everything in the kingdom, all our works that we have done in regards of, pushing the gospel, going out on the highways and byways week in, week out, making our daily videos throughout the week, you know, uh, we're going to be ultimately rewarded in the kingdom, Lord willing, we're part of those men, by Yahweh Shai, by getting those crowns on our heads, you see, by being written in the book of life, you see, being joint heirs with Yahweh Shai, that's going to be our reward. And it's going to start here on this side when the elect gets saved, gets beamed up in them chariots, man. And it says, happy shall thou be, because once the elect receives all the good, receives the good rewards that the Lord promised them, they're going to be happy. It's going to go, and it says, and it shall be well with thee. It's going to go well for those that fear Yahweh Shemel Shai, which is the elect. Because as it says in 1 Corinthians 15:58, it says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of Yahweh Shemel Shai. So, we got to be rock solid in the faith, and we got to increase in the truth. For as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So our labor is not in vain in Yahweh Shemel Shai. So that shows you that the Lord is going to reward his elect in the kingdom. And it's going to start here in America through the salvation. When the elect gets beamed up in those chariots, then the elect is going to greatly be blessed from the Lord. And when you go to Psalms 128 and verse 3, it says, thy wife shall be as a fruitful vine by the sides of thy house. Yeah, meaning, the women of our nation is going to be very fruitful. They're going to be very fertile in the kingdom. Which we're not going to only have just one wife. We're going to have many women. The Israelite man, beginning on with Yahweh Shai, we're going to have abundance of women in the kingdom. It says that children like olive plants around about thy table. So we're going to have a lot of children, because the 2/3 that die on this side, the elect will bring them back in the kingdom through their loins. So it's going to be a lot of sex in the kingdom. The Israelite man's going to have many women. You can't put a number to it. It's going to be, and basically it's going to be unlimited women. From Israelite wives of the 12 tribes, and our concubines of the heathen nation woman. So it's cool. We're gonna be we're gonna be fruitful and multiply in the kingdom abundantly. It says, verse 4, say, behold, that thus shall a man be blessed that fear the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai. So we're gonna be beyond blessed, Akim. We already blessed right now because we have this knowledge, we have the Comforter. We know the prophecies, we know the future events that's going to unfold in America before they happen. So we are already blessed, but how much more when the Lord uplifts all these curses upon us, man, and put all the blessings on us in the kingdom. How blessed we're gonna be when we have the new extraterrestrial bodies with spiritual power. How blessed we're gonna be when we're gonna have the new covenant in our inward parts, to the point we never gonna sin again. Which the new covenant only applies to the nation of Israel. We're gonna have to teach the heathens the laws, statutes, commandments in the kingdom, because they're gonna still be going off. But us, the nation of Israel, we're gonna be gods on earth. We're gonna be perfect. We're gonna be like many Most Highs, man. And we'll all begin with our Lord Yahweh Shai, because it's going to be his kingdom on earth, the kingdom of heaven. It says, verse 5 says, the Lord shall bless thee out of Zion, and thou shalt see the good of Jerusalem all the days of thy life, right? You know, so when you go to another translation, it's when you go to the NLT version, it says, may the Lord Yahweh continually bless you from Zion. May you see Jerusalem prosper as long as you live. So we're going to be prosperous in the kingdom, you know, because right now, man, we see our people, you know, like, you know, our people are under are under the curses, you know. So, and in the curse, one of the curses say that thou shalt not be prosperous in thy ways, roughly paraphrasing. So for the most part, if you don't sell out here, if you're not a celebrity amongst our people, if you're not a celebrity, you know, then or if you don't work a great job or nothing like that, most likely, you know, you out there, you know, we don't see our people in a good light, you know. You know, that's you know, from the homelessness and, you know, living on the streets, talking about them type of jakes, you know. So right now we seeing the curse of our people, but in the kingdom we're gonna see the prosperous of our people, you know, because all the nation of Israel shall be blessed, you know. Ain't gonna be no more curses, and, you know, we all gonna love each other. You know, ain't gonna be no evil eye towards each other, none of that. All that's gonna be done away with, man. We gonna see the good of our nation, and it's gonna be forever. We never gonna go into captivity ever again. You know, we never gonna lose our nationality ever again. That's never gonna happen again. After, you know, according to prophecy, it says, verse 6: "Yea, thou shalt see thy children's children, and peace upon Israel." Yeah, so, you know, the elect, they're gonna be seeing the children's children, the grandchildren, you know, which that's a blessing to be able to see your descendants that descend from you, you know. And in the kingdom, we're gonna be seeing our great, you know, unlimited greats, grandchildren, sons and daughters, grandson and granddaughters, you know, because the Yahweh Shai and the elect, all nation of Israel, we gonna live for eternity in the kingdom. We never gonna die, because the wages of sin is death. So if we have the new covenant in our inward parts, we never gonna sin. Then what will be the opposite of that? Life, living for eternity, being immortals, you know. So, you know, we're gonna see our children, man. We're gonna see all our descent, the elect, loyal and part of those men. You know, gotta keep saying that, you know, because everything is always Lord willing. You know, Lord willing, we be of those men. We're gonna see our descendants far off, man. From our great, you know, eliminate great grandchildren, you know. So we're gonna be blessed, Akim, in the kingdom, you know. And pray that Lord willing, we a part of the elect. We join heirs with Yahweh Shai. We just keep continuing to push, man, because we have the promises is coming to us, man. Us, nation of Israel. So, you know, Lord willing, I was edified. I just want to make a quick lesson on that. And, you know, until next time, Shalom.